Hello and welcome to the instructional video for the City and Town Planner application within MarinMap. In this video today, I'm going to walk through how to utilize this application to view all sorts of data layers that are available to us in this application. To begin, when the application is opened, you will be welcomed with this How-To menu, which will appear automatically. This how-to menu walks you through some general usability, some ideas on how to use some of the tools and widgets in the application, and includes a couple of helpful hints that can help use some of the tools available in this application without issue. To get past this how-to menu, I'll just click through with this Exit X button. To begin the instructional video here, I am going to walk through some of the general tools that are available within the application. And then I'm going to work my way through all of these tools that are available to us up in the header menu. I'll just work my way from left to right and go through all of those tools accordingly. So to begin with the tools available to us by default, we've got a zoom in and zoom out button, which the zoom in, as you can imagine, will zoom us into the map. And then this minus zoom out button, when clicked, will zoom us back out. Now you can achieve the same thing on the map by just utilizing your mouse scroll wheel as well, but these buttons are here if need be. Then below those, we've got a default map view button. I'll just select that, and that will bring us back out to that default map extent that the application loaded with. Below that, we've got the Find My Location button. Now, I won't select this because I'm viewing the application in a desktop browser, but if you're accessing this application via a mobile device of any variety, you can utilize this Find My Location button, and you would just tap that on the mobile device, and it will bring you to your live location on the map, and it will show you as a little blue dot on the map. So if you're interested in what's around you in terms of all of the layers shown on the application, you can tap that Find My Location and do some exploring with what's available around you on the map. Next, we've got the search bar here at the top left-hand side of the application. Now I'm going to start by selecting this down arrow here, and you'll see by default all three search types are selected. So I'm going to deselect all and I'll walk through each of these searches. We've got a search by address. So when I select that search, you can see we've got an example search here to search by address. I'll deselect that and then go into the search by property ID. And we've got an example here of the formatting of the property ID search. And I'll deselect that. And we do have a search by owner name. Now this is going to search the tax parcels layer on the owner name or the second owner name field that is carried within the data. So we've got three ways to get to a specific tax parcel. You can search all of them at once by selecting this all button and checking that, or you can deselect that and search by just one of these searches if you want to do that and search just by address, property ID, or owner name. For my example here, I'll search by an owner name. This is one that I've already searched for. As you can see, we've got recent searches. So if you run specific searches fairly often, they will show in your recent searches, and then you can remove those recent searches by selecting this trash button icon at the bottom. So I'll search for a name here, and all I'd have to do is enter in that name, and it's going to zoom me directly to that tax parcel on the application. So once I've selected a name or tax parcel ID or a tax parcel address in my search, it will zoom me to that location, and we will be defaulted with a pop-up that will show corresponding information tied to that tax parcel. By default, it's going to show up in this small view. where you can scroll down and you can see all of this pertinent information to what that tax parcel carries, some different zones that it lies within, and all sorts of information tied directly to that parcel. And we can also dock these pop-ups just by clicking that dock button. And what that will do is it will kind of get that pop-up out of the center of your page here and show you a little bit more of the information that is shown within the pop-up. We can still scroll down and see the rest of that pop-up information, but it will be docked to the side here. And then you can undock that pop-up by just selecting undock. You can also collapse your pop-up if you want to keep it open but see some things around whatever you've got selected on the map. And then you can exit out of that pop-up just by clicking this close button at the top right of the pop-up. And that pop-up is not limited to what you've searched for. If there are active layers on the map that have pop-ups enabled, you can just select them with your mouse cursor, and if they've got a pop-up enabled on them, that pop-up will show up as an option in the pop-up menu. So next, I'm going to start working through these tools and widgets that are available to us at the top right-hand side of the application. I'm going to start with the one I've got highlighted here, which is the map legend. And what the map legend tool is going to show us is just a legend or representation of all of the layers that are currently active on the map and turned on the map. So if a layer is turned on in the layer list, it will appear and give you a reference to what that symbology looks like tied to that specific layer here in the map legend. So if you're not seeing a layer that you want to see in the legend, you'll just have to turn it on with the tool that I'm going to walk through next. Let me close out of that by clicking the close button. So next I will walk through the map layers tool here, which is the second one from the left on the header tools. And here we can see we've got all of the possible map layers that can be turned on within this layers list here. So there will be some layers that are defaulted to turned on, and those are kind of the important layers like tax parcels, some labeling and things like that. We do have several groups within the layers list here. So if a layer is grouped, you'd see this small arrow next to it, and if you hover over it, it will say expand. So I'll expand this transportation layer, and you can see there's all sorts of layers housed within this group layer here. And to turn on the group, I'll just click this check mark, and you'll see we've got some transportation layers now showing on the map. So you can control whether or not these layers are visible via turning the group that they're housed within on and off, or once that group layer is on, you can also turn layers on and off within that subgroup just by clicking that check mark next to their name. Now, each layer does have this options or ellipsis menu available to them at the far right-hand side of that layers list. And we've got some options here to update transparency. So with a lot of layers being turned on at one time, the map can get pretty busy. So with this transparency, we've got the ability to kind of dull down some of the layers. Now I'd like you to keep your eye on this green line here for the bus route, and then this bus stop icon here. When I use the transparency slider menu here, you can see those layers are getting a little bit more transparent the further I get closer to 100% transparency. And if I want to bring that back down, I can use that slider menu to get back down closer to 0% transparency. So transparency can be set on all of these layers, and again, if there's a lot of layers turned on in your application, that transparency can be pretty helpful with making things a little bit easier on your eyes. One more aspect of the map layers tool I'd like to mention is that you can search for specific layers. So I'll just do a search for parcel. And now you can see that has returned all of these layers that include the keyword of parcel. So if I want to find a specific layer and I know the name of that layer, I can search for it here at the search bar in the Map Layers tool, and it will show me any layer that has that text tied to it. I'll go ahead and remove that search, and now you can see my Map Layers tool is showing back to the default options. I'll go ahead and close that. And the next tool that I'd like to walk through is the Attribute Queries tool. So I'll select that to enter into it. And as you can see by what's defaulted on here, we've got several attribute queries built out in this application. Most of them are specific to zoning, whether that be countywide zoning or municipality specific zoning. So I'll just walk through these first four, and then the rest are all zoning, so they'll be similar to the zoning example that I'll show for Belvedere. So the first attribute query is for tax parcels, and this just gives you another place where you can enter in a property ID or a street address, and it will zoom you directly to that parcel. Another thing that is an additional feature of the queries tool as opposed to the search tool is that it is a contains search. So if you only know a portion of your property ID, let's say 179-270 from this example here, I'll type that in, and then we'll click apply. And you can see we've got 14 results. And once these are finished loading, it will zoom me to all of those results and show them on the map. You can see they're all highlighted here with this blue outline and transparent yellow fill. And I can just click through all of the results in the Attribute Queries menu here to zoom directly to those tax parcels. And it's showing as a flash. It is supposed to be zooming, but I think it's going a little bit slow right now, so that zoom's not taking place. But that zoom feature should be working in most cases. So basically, if I know a portion of a tax parcel ID, or if I need to find like a specific area where all of the tax parcels are similar, I can run that contains search to find all parcels that contain any portion of these tax parcel IDs. I'll just reset that. And then we do have the ability to search by the street address carried within the tax parcels layer as well. Next, we have the city attribute query, and this is just a way to query out a specific city within the county. So I'll choose Belvedere from the drop-down menu here, and then I will click Apply, Belvedere, and show it on the map. So if you need to find a specific city very quickly, you can pop into the attribute queries here and set a query for a city name. And then to clear those results, I'll go ahead and just click the trash can icon there. That will remove the results, and then I can click reset, and that will reset my query that I set originally. I'll go back to the main attribute queries menu here, and I'll do the same thing for community. So this query is designed just the same as the city, but it's going to only show us communities within the drop-down list. So if I want to go to Alto, I'll select it from the drop-down and then select Apply. And that will zoom me directly to Alto and then show me those boundaries of the community. And I'll go ahead and remove that result and then reset the query. And then I will go back to my main menu here. And this will be the last query that I'll walk through as an example, because the remainder of the queries are all zoning queries, and they're going to act just the same as this Belvedere example. So I'll click into the Belvedere zoning attribute filter, and we're going to have a nice drop-down list here of all of the different zoning types available within the city of Belvedere. So I'll choose OS, which I believe is short for open space, and I'll go ahead and click Apply. And here we can see I've been returned all tax parcels that have the zoning specification of OS. So I will click around here to my results, and that will show me the flash on the map and zoom me directly to that zoning parcel. And if I want to continue to do that, I can just go through this list and continue to click, and we can see all of the different parcels that have the OS zoning. Again, it's going a little slow here, so I'll just exit out. And so if I wanted to run another quick attribute query search for another type of zoning, I would just select that from the drop-down menu. So if we want to see all R15 zoning, I'll apply that. It's going to query those results. You can see there's quite a few more parcels with that zoning. It looks to be a very common zoning in Belvedere, and I can go through this list of all of those tax parcels, or just zoom in and keep that highlighted view so you can see where that zoning lies within the city. Go ahead and clear those results and then reset that query. And as I said several times before, all of these zoning queries will be exactly the same. You'll just have a drop-down menu for that specific city's zoning specifications. You can select those and it will zoom you to those. So I will close out of the Attribute Queries tool. And next I will talk about the Basemap Gallery tool. I'll select that to open it up. And what this Basemap Gallery tool does is it enables us to have control of the basemap that is shown with below all of these layers that are shown on the map within the application. So right now it is this light gray canvas basemap, which is kind of this gray theme here you're seeing. But let's say we want to view some aerial imagery. I can change that to this NAPE imagery hybrid basemap, and that will change the background to that aerial imagery. So I can choose from the imagery, or there are several other options here within the Basemap gallery to choose from. And again, the default is light gray canvas, so I'm going to just go back to that selection, and then it will have that same look and feel that it did when we first loaded the application. So a pretty simplistic but very powerful tool here. Gives you a different way to visualize some of the data that's shown on the application. The next tool that I'd like to discuss is the Bookmarks tool. I'll select that. Now, the Bookmarks tool is a tool which includes several bookmarked areas within the county. So these are commonly viewed areas, different cities, communities, and places of importance. So we've got this main home bookmark. So it's similar to this default extent button. If I choose home, it's going to zoom us back out to the default extent of the application. And then we've got several preset bookmarks here. So if I wanted to, let's say, go to Larkspur, I'll select that bookmark, and that will zoom me directly to the city of Larkspur. So again, pretty basic, but it can be very helpful when you're tooling around to different areas within the county and doing analysis. You can go directly to an area of concern by utilizing these bookmarks. And I'm going to zoom into the map for my next tool. So the next tool I would like to discuss is the measurement tool. So go ahead and select that. And within the measurement tool, we've got the ability to measure distances or measure areas. So I'll walk through examples of both of those. To measure a distance, I'll just select this Measure Distance button at the top left-hand side of the tool. And if you can see here in the menu, it says Start to Measure by clicking in the map to place your first point. So let's just say I want to measure the north side of the tax parcel here for 41 Heather Way. I'll go ahead and hover over. You can see there is snapping enabled in the measurement tool, so it will snap to underlying map layers, which can be very helpful, especially for measuring things like parcel boundaries and distances like that. So I'll just click once on that vertex that it snapped to. And for my measurement here, I'm just measuring this north side of the tax parcel. So I'll hover over that northeast vertex and I'll just double click. And that will finish my distance measurement. So you can see my measurement is 49.7 feet. The measurement unit is going to default to imperial, which is a mixture of feet and miles. So if your distance measurement is under, I believe, 1,000 feet, it will default to feet. And if it gets higher than that, it will default to miles. But if you want to view something else for a measurement unit, you can just select this drop down. And let's say we want to see this in yards. I'll select yards. It will automatically update that distance measurement here in the menu and on the map as well. So I can then select new measurement to create a new measurement, or I could have selected clear measurement to just exit out of the measuring tool. Next, I will walk through measuring an area measurement. And to begin that, I'll just select this second button available up here at the top left-hand side of the measurement tool. And this will be the same thing. To start my measurement, I'm going to just begin clicking on the map. In this example, I'll measure the area of 41 Heatherway and 35 Heatherway. The snapping is enabled on the area measurements as well. So you can see the vertex lit up here. So I'll start at that vertex. And I'll just kind of hover my way through this measurement. And I'll select again at that vertex, the parcel, and then again there at the northeast. I'll work my way down the east side of the measurement here and just keep clicking to continue along these vertices. And then to end my measurement here, again, just the same as the distance measurement, I'll just double click. And that has completed my area measurement. So it looks like these two tax parcels together are just over 10,000 square feet. And again, it's going to default our measurement unit to imperial. So I believe if there is an area under 100,000 square feet, the measurement will be square feet, and anything larger than 100,000 square feet will go to square miles. Another nice aspect of the area measurement is it does measure the perimeter of your area measurement. And again, we can update the measurement unit just by selecting from the drop-down. Let's say we want to see how many acres that measurement is. Now it shows us that's about 1/4 of an acre between these two tax parcels. It's updated it on our measurement here and in the tool as well. So go ahead and click clear measurement, and that's going to get rid of our measurement and default the measurement tool back to its default, how it was when we selected it from the top menu. So I will close out of the measurement tool. And now I will walk through the print tool. I'll select that to begin. And this print tool is fairly basic in its functionality. It's just a way to grab a quick printout of what you're viewing currently on the application here. So let's say I want to just grab this area of parcels on Heather Way here. I'll click into my print tool, and then we have these template options. So we've got it defaulted here to A3 landscape. A3 is the paper size, and then landscape is the display, so it'll be a wide display because it's landscape. You can see within the drop-down menu here, we've got several different size options and then layout options between landscape and portrait. And then we can print out map only as well, which will just print out the map, no other advanced features like a north arrow or scale bar or some of the other things that I will set up here in the advanced menu. So I'll just keep this selected as A3 landscape. We'll change this title to demo test. And then in the advanced menu here, you can select what you want to print out from what you're viewing on the application. We'll just keep this as current map extent because I want to see just this map extent. We can set the author. I'll set that as demo test. And then we can set a copyright here. This is a spot that you can add any disclaimers or just any text you want to add to your printout, and that will show up at the bottom right hand side of the printout. I'll just type in this is a test for the demo, and then we will include the legend, north arrow. We will update the scale bar unit to feet. We'll keep that print quality the same as the default and then include attributes, and we'll go ahead and click print. And once you click print, you'll see there's a spinning wheel here in the results tab of the print menu. So we'll go into that results tab. And that's going to resolve once it's completed, and then we can click into it and view that printout. And one thing to mention with this printout is that it is only going to show the layers that are turned on currently with that layer list tool that I demoed earlier. So if you want to see specific things on this map, you have to make sure that they're turned on in the map layers tool. So it looks like our printout has completed. So I'll just click it here. And that's going to bring us into a new tab within our browser. And that's where that printout is going to show. You can see we've got a little legend here, which notes what we're seeing on the map. It gives us the date of the printout, that scale bar, north arrow, and then it does have that author information and copyright info at the bottom right-hand side of the printout. Again, pretty basic print tool, but it is nice to have this option in lieu of just taking a screen grab or a screenshot or something like that to include some of the legend and some basic text. And then to save that image, you can just right click it and click Save Image As, and then you can choose whichever format you'd like to save that out to, if that is a PNG, a TIFF, or a PDF or something like that. So to go back to the application, I'll just close this print tab. And one thing to note with these prints is that if you close out of this application, you will not see your previous printouts once you log back into it. It's a one-time thing. It is just for that current session of the application. So if you want to save your printouts, make sure that you save them out to a local folder or location that you can find them in the future, because they will not show up in these results once you start a new application session. I'll go ahead and close out of print. And next we've got the share tool. So the share tool is very basic. It just gives us a short link, or if you want to share the full meat and potatoes URL, you can deselect that and select this long URL link. And you can select this copy button to copy that, and that will be copied to your clipboard on your machine. And then you can paste it to wherever you'd like to share that link. We do have the built-in option to embed, so that will embed this application into, let's say, an email or a message or something like that. We can create a QR code, so if you're creating some sort of training documentation or anything like that, or you just want a quick way to share this, you can create a QR code and share it that way. Or you can share this directly via email. So if you select this button, it will use your default email provider on your machine and open up an email message with the link in the email body. or you can share it directly via socials with Facebook, X, Pinterest, or LinkedIn. So I will leave the share button. And next, I'd like to talk about the data table. So I'll select that. And this data table is a place that you can view all attribute table information for every single layer that is included on this application. So once this loads, I will walk through the table tool. So the table has loaded here. I can select this drop-down menu here, and this will allow me to select any layer visible on the map. Whether that layer is turned on or turned off, it will still show up here in the attribute table. This is all in alphabetical order, so I'm going to go down to the tax parcels layer and I'm going to select that. And you can see I've got 96,000 records here. These are all of the tax parcels in the entirety of the county. And it's going to show me all of the fields in that data. So some of the map tools available to us are just a general selection. You can select these tax parcels, their row, and that's going to zoom us directly to that tax parcel on the map. You can see on the map now, it has zoomed me directly to that tax parcel that I selected in the attribute table, and it's got the pop-up information showing there and it's selected. And if I go back into the table here, that's still selected. I can then click the Show Selected button to only show my selected record. You can see now it's showing just my selected record and it's showing a total of 1, and it's selected. And then you can also select Show All to go back to the entirety of the layer, which will then still show your selection. I can clear my selection by clicking this Clear Selection button, and now you can see that row is no longer selected. We do have a refresh button to just refresh that table to its initial view. And then we do have the ability to show and hide columns. So if I want to show only a specific number of columns, I can turn off all columns that include any data that I don't want to see. So pretty powerful there. If you want to drill down and show only specific things on your attribute table, you can do that with the Show Hide Columns. And then I can select this button here to show only my selected columns. And then I can go back to all columns just by selecting this Show All button here. And then if I hit this trash can icon here, it will clear my selection. So it will clear all of the columns, and then I can start from scratch. So if I want to deselect all columns and then reselect only a select few, that's a quick way that without having to go down the row and deselect every single column, I can just do that to start with and then select whichever columns I want to see. And then finally, we have the table actions here, which I'll walk through Set Filter. This is very powerful. This filter can select whatever layer you're looking at. Any attributes that are carried within that layer, you can set the filter on. So to set your filter, you're going to have to enable your filter to start with, and then we can add one here. So we'll add a clause. Let's just say that we want to view all parcels where the mailing city is. And we'll choose from unique here. Go ahead and just select Agora Hills here because that's in my options, but I can search for a specific area. It looks like there's only one tax parcel in all of the county where the mailing city is Agora Hills. But if I have a specific city that I want to search for, I can search for it here and it will search all records for that specific city and then filter the tax parcels based on that. So I'll go ahead and remove that. You can add a clause set. So if you want to search on multiple fields, you can do that. And then you can set whether or not that filter meets both criteria or just one of the criteria. So you've got some freedom with what you can set for those filters. So very, very powerful. Remove that filter, and then I'll go back into the actions. And then the second action that I wanted to mention is that you do have the ability to export to CSV or spreadsheet format here. And one thing to note with that is that if you do have a data filter set on the data within the layer that you're looking at in the attribute table, that filter will come in with the CSV export. So if you want to filter the data and then export that, it's a good way to do that. But if you want to export an entire layer, just make sure you don't have a filter set on it. So I'm going to go ahead and exit the download table. And the final tool I wanted to talk about is just the help menu here. So this is, I got into this by selecting this top right-hand axis help menu button, and that opened up this help menu, which is the exact same thing that we saw with the splash screen that we were welcomed to the application with. This is just a reminder of how to maneuver the application, some basic and tips on how to successfully maneuver the application. And then at the very bottom, there is a link back out to the attribute table here that I just demoed. So if you've got any questions on how to operate the application, just be sure to access the help menu here at the top right-hand side. And with that, that is all I had for my instructional demo here. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope that you enjoy utilizing the City and Town Planner application. Thank you.